Captain Encouragement, our very first superhero on Improvisationally Speaking.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so pleased to have you here. And so I would love to ask you a question.
Yes. How may I help you?
I would love to know, where does your strength come from as a superhero?
Where does my strength come from? Well, there's many answers to that, but a lot of it comes from understanding the compassion of other people and understanding the emotions and empathies of other people. So Captain Encouragement gains strength by using his own inner power and using love and compassion and turning it and transmuting it to a real physical force. That's where our power comes from. But it also comes from understanding that other people act the way they do because they're hurting inside. And so what that does is it allows Captain Encouragement to use compassion to defeat bad guys. But what we're doing is we're not trying to necessarily defeat them. We're trying to be resilient in everything we experience in life and use love to defeat bad guys.
And
Yes.
when you are on a mission and it gets really, really hard, what do you do?
Well, I do something that it's one of the top tools that we teach all of our incoming superheroes, and that is asking for help. That is the ability to ask for help when we know that we need it. And it comes from different points of knowing when we need help, knowing how to ask for help, and knowing who to ask help from. Yes.
Have you ever lost a battle before?
Yes, I have. I have lost the battle, but that's part of being resilient. That's one of the superpowers that we teach our incoming heroes is you need to be resilient, the ability to bounce back from anything that life throws at you. It's not about whether or not you lose, it's about how you respond to it.
And what message do you like to send for any children who could be listening today? What is the message, the most important message that you might give them?
The message I would give is you are heroes. There is no deciding factor that says that you are not. You are an individual. There's only one and only will be one you forever. You have the power to do incredible, impossible things. Impossible is a word thrown around by small men who can't accomplish it. Just remember, you can do anything. There's nothing stopping you other than the person inside your head telling you you can't. So tell him no and get out there and do it.
And what message might you send to adults who would be listening to you?
Well, that's the thing, is that there isn't much of a difference because people talk to children as if they're small humans and their ideas will eventually evolve into adult thoughts. But they're the same. They're one and the same. Adults need the same compassion, love, and understanding that children need because we're all people. It's just a matter of time. In 400 days, I'll be a year and a half older than I am now. That doesn't mean that I need a different information now. It might mean it needs to be relayed differently. But every person needs to be reminded that they are powerful and that they can accomplish anything.
Thank you, Captain Encouragement.
You're very welcome. So what started you on your passion? What started you on what you do now with Improv Alive?
I started very similar to you as an actor. You've been an actor in the past in a similar way. I also had a career performing, and I learned improvisation through that. And then I thought that the tools that I learned about improvisation could help people who are not necessarily artists and actors. So I took kind of the principles and concepts of not judging yourself and taking it easy on yourself and seeing things when you mess up or when it goes badly, to see that as opportunity more than to see that as something that you are bad and you need to fix or you need to punish yourself for. And that's what I took from it, and that's what I do for people that are not artists, that I make them do funny, crazy improvisation things that they've never done before and maybe learn something through it.
That's amazing. And you see, you don't even have a cape. You deserve a cape. You're a superhero. Oh my
gosh. That's great.
That's amazing. Thank you for what you do. I really, really appreciate it. It's amazing. And I'm sure the people and the lives that you touch appreciate it as well.
Well, thank you, Captain. How do you find the energy to be able to do, I mean, you are all over the world doing these wonderful missions. How do you find that energy? Where does it come from?
Well, it comes from being reminded daily of there are the amazing things of this planet, and also the negatives, and understanding how big of a battle we have coming. The third leading cause of death right now from 10 to 24 is suicide. And bullying has become this epidemic. And these are things that we can look at them and say, these are insurmountable. Or we can say, we can do this. This is no longer an if, it's a when. And it's how we accomplish it. It's how we do it. And it's understanding that I have calculated, if I were to live to 100 years old, from this point on, I have 405,000 hours, 150, if I put 15 hours every day towards this cause. And that's to remind yourself that this is the mission. And finding that mission-driven life. And I'm sure, as you know, when you attach yourself and your thoughts and your ideas to a mission and direct it at something and wanting to make a difference, there's nothing that can stop you. You just have to keep moving forward. Remember the lives that you want to change, the people that you want to give that level playing field to. You want to level the playing field so everyone has the equal opportunity, and we can get past these nonsensical numbers. The suicide rate being this high shouldn't be there. That shouldn't exist. And because these are children. They just got to this planet and they're already wanting to leave. And it's because there's misunderstanding, this influx of information, this influx of this is who you are, this is who you need to be. Society lays out this map of who you're supposed to be when we're all individuals. And so that could be a contributing point, but being reminded of all these things daily is something that empowers and informs and puts me on a mission to go.
And does these powers for evil in the world, one might consider those, as you think about the things that go on in this world now, some people might think that they're becoming stronger and stronger if you watch media and news today. And I wonder, do you think they really are? And regardless, do you have to fight harder or reinforce that superpower more and more and grow that to combat it? How do you think of that?
Well, I think people look at the negative a lot. I think the things that we've accomplished in the last 30 years are monumental for human development and human growth. I think to look at from a statistics point, homicide rates have gone down, I believe, 200% since 1970. We are getting ready to completely obliterate the lowest level of poverty in the world. And we're giving people more equal opportunities. A person in Nigeria can do the same things that we do here with technology and information. Like the playing field is being leveled. The darkness is, we are being told in a lot of different ways that the world is this bad, horrible place. But it's not. There's so much beauty. This generation, if you look at the amount of volunteer hours logged, if you look at the stats, the people who are generating so many hours are also the group, the millennials, Gen Z, and they're doing so much amazing work, so many global changing, impactful things that are going to reshape the planet, and it's being done by kids. And to think that this is going to continue to perpetuate and exponentially grow into this powerful force of making a difference. Everything is mission driven now. Everything is, how can I be of service? How can I make a difference? And when you see this and you talk with these students who have these grand ideas of wanting to make a difference and clear, concise ideas of how they're going to do it, it reinforces where we're going.
Yeah.
It reinforces the power that this world has. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. We're having a conversation on a phone from distances away, and I'm looking at you, just talking with you. 100 years ago, I probably would have been put to death for this. Like, that's insane. And these things continue to evolve and grow, and there's no limit to what we can do as a society. We're learning so rapidly now, and every day there's a new breakthrough, a new we found this defeats diseases, and this defeats hunger. Like, we're going to obliterate world hunger in the next, I would say very soon. We're going to obliterate all, like, diseases. What else is there? What can darkness do to you? The playing field is leveled. People can be anything and anyone they want.
So it really, your power then comes from within yourself. It does not get swayed as the tides of change happen externally. It really comes from within.
And that's a constant battle, because to say that does not affect a superhero, that would be a lie. Because everyone deals with that. Internally, externally, we have those forces externally that can start to move you, but then you have to be reminded, I'm in control of this. This body, this person, this everything is I'm in control. And to allow someone else to take control of that, whether it's that this person made me mad, it's no, I had an expectation of them, and that made me upset that they didn't respond the way I expect. And that's the thing, is being reminded that we are superpowers and we are superheroes and we can do anything, but it's knowing that sometimes you have to give yourself that leeway, like you said, with wanting to kind of do it evenly for all the people that you're trying to communicate with, even if they aren't quote unquote artists and they aren't people that are in that field. It's giving themselves that freedom to make mistakes. We are humans. We are creatures of habit sometimes. We have to pull ourselves out and be reminded we can make mistakes. It's okay.
Captain Encouragement, I'd love to see your entire outfit. Is there a way you could stand up and show us a little bit more of what you got?
I definitely could. Let me show you.
Oh,
My hands tell it all. It says to smile more. And we have the fantastic smiley. Things that are magnificent.
That is absolutely magnificent.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And thank you again for what you do. I must ask, at what age, like when was there a turning point for you? Was there a point in your life that you're like, this is it?
I went to school studying opera to be an opera singer. And it was my passion, my love, and it was my one single goal in life. In fact, singing, when I started singing in junior high school, I was a D and C student and began singing over a course of a year. When I realized that I could potentially be able to go to college and study this and even maybe go to a good college and get a scholarship, I went from a D and C to an A and a B student, and it completely turned me around in that way. But it really made me become laser focused on what I wanted, and I went to school and studied, and then I came out and I did some work, but it wasn't going to be something that was going to allow me to do this professionally. So I had to find other ways to make a living, and I had to find ways to make my life happy. If I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket and just live that dream and never look anywhere else, especially if I end up in the end not getting what I was hoping for. So I had to find other ways, and in doing so, I went into acting and it broadened my scope from being a singer to being an actor. And then I also, before going out and moving to New York and acting, I studied IT, and so I moved into a technical field and got those skills and did that for a while. Then I went to New York, and I was able to go around the country and do shows in New York and outside. And
awesome.
It was amazing. I loved it. And I met my wife doing Guys and Dolls on stage at an opera house in Georgia. And
nice.
We moved back to Seattle, and coming back to Seattle, I knew that I didn't want to spend my life auditioning and going on the road everywhere. So, I used the skills that I had learned when I had decided not to be laser focused to be able to do work, do what I had to do. And at this point, I'm an IT recruiter with my parents' company. My folks have a company. And I have Improv Alive, and I'm still performing. I sing as a soloist in a number of churches on Sundays, and right now I have a daughter, and it takes me away from performing, but that's something that I look forward to one day to get back to as well.
Congratulations! That's amazing.
Oh,
that's great.
Thank you.
That's so wonderful. Just the steps of your journey and the different, where it took you, and a wife and a child. That's amazing.
Well, thank you. I want to ask something, and you Nicholas could come in, or Captain Encouragement could stay. Either way, but I want to understand the spark story for this work that you are doing around.
Well, I think that would take a different mind than mine. I think I would like to introduce my friend Nicholas.
Yes, I would love to meet Nicholas.
Yes. Okay. Well, hold on one second.
Thank you, Captain. Ooh, triumphal red.
How you doing, sir?
Nicholas, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Boy, the captain is an inspirational figure. It was awesome to have him on here.
Well, I'll tell him that you said that. He had just left.
Thank you. I'm sure he's extremely busy.
Yes. He has a world to save, a bunch of frowns to fight. So yes. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Nicholas. Welcome to
Good.
Improvisationally Speaking.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's just great. I'm really interested. I got to read a number of articles about you and saw a couple of interviews, and one of the things, you come across this work in an amazing way. And you started out as a semi-professional football. I imagine.
Yeah, I was on my way to semi-pro. I was in training for just trying to take my sports to the next level. And amidst that training, I had a brain hemorrhage.
Yes.
And that kind of obliterated, everything.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, did you want me to go into the backstory of kind of what that transition was?
I think that would be awesome. I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah. So growing up, I got bullied when I was younger, and then as all of us who've been bullied, have you ever been bullied?
Yeah, I have.
So when you get bullied, you tend to internalize and point it towards yourself and blame yourself because, you have no context for it when you're growing up. When you're a kid, you have no context for why this person's insulting me. So it must be me. And so I was a little chubby. I had crooked teeth and bad acne. And I got bullied a little bit. And I internalized it, and I became very spiteful, very angry. And as life transitioned, I started getting into lifting, and I found an outlet, and I went on my first life path at that point, which was retaliation.
Oh.
And that was the only thing I knew, because all these things were happening, and so I became very aggressive, very angry. Played football. I got into cage fighting, but also I fought outside of fighting. I was just this angry ball of meat, essentially. And I was just upset. I didn't, and because society tends to paint a picture for what you should be and what's cool, what's not, everything is violent based and anger based. We glorify these factors. And so I ended up like, I'm gonna play football. I want to fight. I want to be this big angry thing. I want to bodybuild. And at 19, I had a brain hemorrhage. And that kind of shook up my life, and it shook up a lot of my mindset for how you view things. How you have your basic exterior for how you view the world and your ideas and your logic behind all of it.
Yeah.
And after that brain hemorrhage, a few more severely negative things occurred that sent me down different spirals, different paths. I lost my best friend Jacob. He passed away. We lost nothing on my stepdad passed away. It was just an insane year of basically resiliency testing. It's seeing how resilient and how bendable you can be. And from there's a lot of things that occurred. I got into different fields and tried different things. And it was trying to become somebody I wasn't. And it was trying to fill the footsteps and the shoes that society and a lot of other concepts paint for you as success, as happiness. And so I got into acting. I'm like, this will make me happy. Didn't make me happy. All the ideas. And I felt like I went through a lot of the ideas that society paints. Like, society paints very interesting pictures. And I don't want to completely just be like, darn society. But we have painted some pictures collectively of success and of happiness. And some of it is, the Tony Stark lifestyle is like the epitome of male happiness, right? It's something that we painted, and it's not appreciating women and not appreciating things and just having a bunch of it. And I hit a tipping point where I had accomplished all these great things, and I was miserable. And I went through a bunch of different levels of humility and humble training, where life put me through some fires to really show me the beauty of life. And at the bottom, at the pit of all this despair, I found this beauty in peeling back layers of what society painted as Nicholas. And as people had painted onto me as like, that's you. And then as I'm sitting there in this despair, it wasn't obviously like a single moment, but I pulled back all these ideas that people have painted on me, and I started, like, their voices became my own, and I started painting that myself. And I peeled back and I found out who Nicholas was at his core. And I was like, wow, I didn't even, like, I had no idea. And I found out Nicholas loves, like, so unconditionally. Nicholas just wants to fix things, wants to help people. And that's when I was finally, I don't know if you've ever had the moment where you're, like, introduced to yourself, like, finally. And it's, like, so genuine, like, oh my gosh, this is Nicholas. And so I was, like, super excited. And I was just like, I want to help people. I want to make the world a better place. I only have so much time here. I want to make sure I can give back to anyone and everyone that I cross paths with. I want every person I cross paths with to have a better life. Like, just if there's anything I can do. And that started me walking down the street saying, have a great day. You're beautiful. You're amazing. And literally just picking out things about people to compliment them on. And it would just be small, random, whatever, anything I could say to them. And I watched it just change their demeanors. Like, literally strangers. Because I did this. You've been in LA?
Actually, hardly. I've been a teeny bit.
Well, I was in LA. I was in Vegas. I was in a few different areas, back and forth. And I would go do this. I was like, have a great day. Like, you're amazing.
Just not even in costume or in character, just authentically?
This was before Captain.
Okay.
This was before Captain was even a thing. And so I started saying this to people. I was like, you're amazing. Like, you're brilliant. You're beautiful. You rock. Because they do. Because we live on 52 million square miles of land. There's a good chance I'll never see that person again for the rest of their life. So I hope the rest of their life is awesome, right? Like, I never know if I'm going to see this person again. And so I started that, and I started just telling people they rocked, and just wishing them the best, because there is a chance I'll never see them again for the rest of their lives. And that's crazy to me, because that person, that's the last time I see them before they pass. That's insane.
Whoa. Oh, that's a really, I've never heard it said that way, but you're right.
Yeah, it's you really don't know. And it's the last time you could see them. And it's like, man, I hope the rest of your life is awesome. I hope you have like a beautiful life, and if you want the picket fence life, I hope that's what you get. And so I would just pick out random things about people and tell them, like, have a great day. And some people were like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, as if they never heard a stranger in the world give them a compliment. And some people would say, well, what do you want from me? Like, as if I'm trying to sell them something. I was like, no, I don't want anything. I just hope your life is awesome. That's it. And then as I kept doing that and I watched it change people, I was like, what if there was a superhero who could just make people feel positive? And so the concept started, and what started is just a concept just to cheer people up. As I'm sure you're aware now, and your listeners are, I am Captain Encouragement. I hope none of you are supervillains. Please don't tell anybody. And so it became, I was like, I'm going to make a costume. I have to make a costume for this. And so obviously yellow, smiley face. And so I found this lady, Helen Sylvester. She's an amazing lady. She helped make the costume for me. And I started going around as Captain Encouragement. And like, have a great day, you're awesome. And kids were just lighting up. People were excited because, everyone relates to a superhero.
Yeah.
And after that, I started, it became like, well, what if we did like a youth program? What if we taught kids about this? And so went to Jamestown Elementary School, met Mark Dykin, and he said, yeah, sure, let's do it. Like, I'll call them all up right now, and we can do an assembly. I was like, oh, okay.
Whoa.
And so they threw me to the wolves instantly, because I was like, I'm going to teach the world these great lessons. I didn't have a plan. I was just like, I want to make a difference. And so I walk out there as Captain Encouragement, and there's this whole thing full of kids. And the first few minutes, it was like, Captain, yeah. Like, I didn't have a plan of attack. I was just like, I'm going to do it.
You didn't plan this? You just went out there?
I just went out there and did it. And, man, I stumbled, tripped, fell, get up, fall. But I kept it going. And eventually, like, I started finding kind of like what the purpose of it was.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay, I definitely need to redo that, but I think there's something we can do here. And so developed it further and further and further, and gave it more validity and substance to it, and it became like a youth program. And so from there, I'm like, well, this youth program is really cool, but what if we had, a tangible medium to get this out? And that's where the Captain Encouragement comic book came from. And so we did, I better go to my favorite page. So there's all sorts of awesome stuff. Explosions and everything. So it's like, what if the kids could hold this stuff? And then the superhero shows up at their school? Like, that's insane.
Multi-sensual. It would be like full immersion.
Full immersion, right? And so that took me like 8 months of just, like, I had no idea what I was doing. And then it kept doing it, and the program kept kind of growing. And then we got an awesome team behind it, and people were just, the person who helped me, Michael Miller, helped me co-write this book. He helped me with blocking and things like that, and we worked with all sorts of different organizations, and like it started to kind of grow, and it became a thing, and the more we did it, the more it started to grow, and I started touring, I started traveling, and I had no idea what I was doing again, so I'm like, I'm just gonna set a tour. So I called a bunch of businesses, bookstores, Rotary clubs. I'm a Rotarian, very proud Rotarian.
Yes.
A lot of my Rotary clubs supported and let me speak at their clubs. And I called and I set like a line of different events on days next to each other to set a tour. And I didn't know that. I just threw everything in the back of my truck. My friend Michael went with me. He was going to be the supervillain and all our stuff. We went. We just went. And it went really well. Some of it, like, one kid showed up to one event, but it was like every event there was like one student who held on to the idea. And they're like, the one student in Dana Point, I remember Dana Point Library, this kid, he stayed like during, after, while we're setting up, and he's talking to the character who played the villain. He's like, I eat chicken. I don't eat unhealthy food. I'm a superhero. It's the greatest thing ever. And like, kids started to get it. And that's like the validation part, right? Getting it to where if the kids don't agree with it, it's just fluff. If it's not helping anybody, it's just fluff. And then if it's fluff, I don't want to do it because it's about helping people. It's about the mission. And then it just kind of, every time there's an opportunity, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go tour the Midwest. And so, because I'm from Kansas City originally, like north of Kansas City.
Yeah.
Edgerton, go Edgerton, woo! And we did like a Midwest tour. Went to Chicago, Milwaukee, went to the Forbes 30 and Under Summit in Boston, and it just kind of started to snowball a little bit. And people saw like the full vision. We did a musical. So I've never seen a musical, and so I went and watched a musical, Cowgirls, at Stage 3 Theater. I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then the lady, her name's Shelley Bort, and she was one of the main characters. And I told her about what I did. She's like, that sounds like a musical. And so I was like, we could do a musical. And so we wrote a play.
What?
So we wrote a musical.
You're kidding me.
I had no experience and so it's Captain Encouragement musical. And we wrote a musical, and the next 2 months, the theater company had blacked out. And so I was like, well, the following month, I'd like to do a musical here. And so they rented it out to me.
What?
And we split the door for the event. It was going to be our first fundraiser.
What?
And so so we go in. I had no experience, so every day I'm like, I read my lines, I put it on a CD, I listen to it every single day. Shelley helped me immensely. Michael Miller, the co-writer of the comic, helped write the musical as well as Shelley. She wrote the music, helped write the script, and then we got a cast.
Oh my gosh!
What's happening? And so we do the whole like thing. We did like the whole musical, and then we get to we're like a week in, and she's like, all right, so this is your song, Nick. I had never sang in my life. And she's like, is Captain Encouragement the musical? You act this
That's right.
I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, I guess that makes sense. And so I had to learn to sing. And I guess I was already a week or two in, and it's like, well, we set the musical. We're already selling some of the tickets. We put the posters out like like, yeah, I have to sing.
It's happening.
And so it's happening. I think it's really important whenever you want to do something, put it out in the public, and then you have to do it.
Oh, get that ball rolling to where you can't stop it, right?
Yeah.
So how did it go? What was that experience like?
It was crazy. I got to experience that, as you know, like theater magic. I'd never experienced that in my life. And I got to experience that flow of doing the music and each person just hitting their cues on time, and oh my land, it was amazing. And Shelly got me singable by the time it started. So
no kidding.
It was and so it was our first successful fundraiser. We raised a little, almost $5,000 from this musical, because it was our fundraiser to kickstart some of our programs. Revamped a bunch of the stuff we were doing, and then worked on like an after-school program. And I was like, okay, let's do an after-school program, because our group we work with is kindergarten, third grade. Yeah. We work with elementary schools.
Yep.
But 4th to 6th was this big empty gap. So we started doing an after-school program where the kids could get involved in their community and find problems they wanted to solve. Yeah. So we started what's called the Smile Squad, Secret Mission Initiative for Leading by Example, SMILE.
Oh,
and that was something Michael...
Did you say that one again? What does it stand for?
SMILE, the Secret Mission Initiative for Leading by Example.
Got it.
So that was... Michael actually came up with the acronym. I worked with Michael on so much of this stuff. And so it just continued to snowball. We got a board of directors who basically came together from my Rotary Club, our Rotary Club president, and a few other members, retired business people, retired CEOs, came together, and they were like friends of our president, Terry, he's my mentor as well, Terry Northcutt, and he helped kind of steer me a little bit and like, oh, don't do that. That's dumb. So he was like helping me, directing me. He brought on these amazing, brilliant, retired business people, all, above twice my age, and all with extreme experience in the business field.
That's great.
And the more we did, the more kids were responding, and the bigger we made it, the more kids were starting to gravitate.
Yeah.
And so, as of March, we're a 501c3. We're a nonprofit as of March. Our CFO, our treasurer, he runs a CPA firm. And so he helped with that. That's Eric Carlson, my gosh. So everything just started coming together, and I kept focusing on the mission. I'm like, let's make a difference. Let's make an impact. And then I was introduced by Mark Dykin introduced me to resiliency and the ACEs scores. Because originally it was just let's teach nonviolence. And he introduced me to ACEs. Are you familiar with the ACEs?
No, I'm not. Though I do know the organization that you're in. That is part. There is an organization that you're working with that's working with you that way. Isn't that true?
I'm working with Rotary on a lot of different stuff, different Rotary clubs. So ACEs is Adverse Childhood Experiences, and there's a lot of research about where how childhood traumas can affect you long term. Everything from diseases to chronic illnesses, and there's this plethora of research that's showing the higher your ACE score, and your ACE score each bad event in a certain category is a point essentially. So one of them is a parent's an alcoholic, abusive parent. There's this, I think there's 10, I think there's different versions of it, but the 10 basic things. And the higher your ACE score, the more likely you are to have cancer, the more likely you are to commit suicide, the more likely, all these things. And it was literally looking at an algorithm of saying the worse your childhood is, the worst your adulthood is going to be. And it was like, okay, we really got to do something about this. So I started integrating that into everything we did, and integrating, and everything needs to be about resiliency, because this is obviously what's happening. This is what will stop where we're going. The direction of all the negative nonsense, all the hatred, all the output of society that people are very unhappy with. It's a result of childhood. It's a result of K to 3, this little age group, and even even into before birth. Yeah. All this little window that we could really, really help them, and we could really make an impact. And so what if we did it through a medium that they understand, superheroes? And what if we were able to convey that message in a cool way that they want to learn it? Yeah. It's not about as a parent, I'm sure you're I just want to download all the information I have and obtain into you so you don't have to make the mistakes, right?
Yeah.
I like part of it. You just
Yeah.
want to pass that. You're like, just don't do that. I promise you. I know you're gonna be like, oh, that's dumb, but you want to download it. So that's it. It continued to grow. We're working on our first fundraiser. We're gonna do like an Indiegogo campaign in November.
Good.
And we're gonna kickstart. It's Indiegogo. I don't want to use the word. I'm using the word kickstart, not Kickstarter, just so you know.
Yeah.
So it's to help revamp everything, because a lot of this was done in like a shoestring budget. This was kind of done with the amount of work I could do and the amount of things I could cut back on would equal the program. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah.
And so now it's growing, and kids are getting it. Going to different schools, traveling the country, going to just.
You know that. I mean, I know you know this, but you are a modern day real life hero. This is what a superhero in a child's mind. If you translate that into real world and adultness, you're doing. That's exactly where you are. It's just amazing. It's amazing. Really amazing.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, what is your biggest challenge with everything going on? Your organization is picking up. I'm sure that there's more 10 times. If you could clone yourself 10 times, you probably wouldn't get done everything you probably want to do. All that said and done, what would you say your number one biggest challenge at this point is?
I'd say from an organizational standpoint, it is financing, because we're always just trying to keep building and growing, and it's about sustainability. Nonprofits, their big goal, their big thing they're focusing towards is the ability to sustain. Mm-hmm. And so at this point, if I was unable to do something for a month, or whatever, if I had to step out for any reason, the program would probably pass. I don't know if it would sustain, which is that keeps me up at night. But we're building structures right now. That's why we're holding off until November for this event, or for Indiegogo campaign, because it's rebuild time right now.
Yeah.
Another thing is I wouldn't say this is a personal thing with me, is acknowledging the numbers of what's happening in the world. That hurts my soul. But it also, like I said, it's a driving force. But I lost 3 friends last year to suicide, and I've lost 1 person in my life this year to suicide. These things, it's no longer this. And I'm sure you've heard it about, millennials and a bunch of like entitled and emotional.
Yeah. Right.
Those are like the key words that a lot of people, and even like millennials, use against other millennials. Like, you're just being emotional. It's like, no, it's not emotional. It's not. You're literally categorizing, so you don't have to think about it anymore. So you're just throwing it into this category, so your brain doesn't have to process. You were given a supercomputer in your head. Take some time to process it. It's not just them being emotional.
So you're saying that when you stereotype or tag them with this is you're being emotional. That's not really what it is. What is it really?
It's no context, no tools, or not. I won't say no, but a very few amount of tools for them to express themselves. Very few tools for them to convey emotions, emotional literacy, the ability to literally just actually understand and comprehend your emotions instead of just being like, I'm angry. It's like, no, you're not angry. You're this. You've just been told that this is how you express that, or you're this, or you're that. And there's a spectrum of emotions, and just to ball it up and just say you're emotional, that's throwing a person away. Literally throwing a person in the trash and saying, you're just emotional. It's like there's this massive spectrum of things that a person can feel, and a person that is experiencing, and every single person on the face of the earth, no person is exempt, has their own personal hell. They have their own personal fears and angers and hell that they've experienced. And to just write them off as emotional, and write them off and just subcategorize, and we spend so much time putting people into categories so we can understand them instead of taking the time to understand them.
I see. And would you say that this group, the millennials, let's say, are they inordinately suffering from this, from not knowing how to see themselves that way? You look back and my grandparents say, this might have not been the same psyche that they had.
No, and they didn't have access to technology.
and information at the level that we do, because now you're becoming aware. Last 20 years we have more development on the human brain than the past 2,000, and we have all of this information just coming in like every second of every day, and it's like I don't remember what it was. There was some stat. I wish I could cite it right now, but it's like the year, like past 2,000 years until 1990 was like 5 exabytes of information. And then from 1990 to 2010 is 5 exabytes. And then 2010 to 2015, and it's the Fibonacci sequence. Yeah. So like the exponential growth, and it's just showing like more and more. It's piling in, and information and emotional awareness and all this stuff is just constant, like every single second, forever. So it's a lot easier to get lost. I'm sure if you took the time to try out all the things that you wanted to, you're going to find that you're skilled at a lot of stuff. You're skilled at a lot of stuff, but doesn't make you happy? Is it you? But if you're being told like, well, you got to focus on money, so then that redirects people away from their passion or from whatever they're doing to focus on money. So now they're like, well, this is going to make me happy. They get there, they experience nothing, which is something I experienced, was chasing the idea. And I like Will Smith's quote, I believe it was Will Smith. I'm sure he might have cited somebody else, but no, that was Alan Watts. Just kidding. I listen to a lot of motivational speakers. It's like aiming for the map and not the actual location. And so it's not productive.
Yeah.
And I think it's something millennials, Gen Z is going to face in a severe case, because they became conscious during that information influx. They came online during that. Millennials, our generation, kind of we got to see it kind of build up.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, that's going pretty fast, and then it was just like boom, boom.
Yeah.
Gen Z is born into it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's everyone's writing off the younger generation, which has been the case since the dawning of time. Those young kids.
Yeah. Elvis Presley, ridiculous.
It's funny because someone was saying that the other day about millennials. I'm like, yeah, those darn kids and their swiveling hips listening to Elvis. And they're like, oh wait, what?
It's totally true, isn't it? Well, let me ask you, Nicholas, of all this work, what's the greatest reward to you personally for everything that you're doing in this world right now?
I would say on an individual basis, it's when that one kid or one student has a physical reaction to like a breakthrough, and they want to maybe make a difference. Like, oh well, I want to do this, or I want to step out of this. Like when we did our fundraiser, there were kids who might not have always gotten along, but they worked together as like a team, and each one of them, like you kind of get to watch them grow as a person, and to be able to do it with a single person, that's success to me, is to be able to have touched that one life, and have given everything I could to that person in that time. Like when we go to schools, if we help a handful of kids and get them to kind of be like, oh well, that's kind of cool, not to punch people in the head. It's like, and like all the other like movies and media and video games just paint this like punch everything, and so it's really awesome whenever one student at least holds on to it. And I recently did an event, and I remember it very vividly, in Winton, California, and it was for Latino Nuevo Rotary. And this one little girl was just lit up. She was so happy that Captain Encouragement was there. And I'm like, let's do our smile attacks. Boom, have a great day. You're awesome. And she was just, have a great day. You're awesome. I did it. And she was just so excited. And then at the end of it, we were selling comic books. And I was like, you can have, and it was actually 3 kids that happened this. I'm like, you can just have a comic book. And I was like, yes, you can have it. Like, it's okay. Like, I promise, it's for you. And it was just like this whole like shift, as if I just paid off her mortgage. I mean, she's a student, obviously.
Right.
Like 7 years old. But she acted as if I paid off some big debt in her life. Like, it felt like probably been like reaction that an adult would have to them doing something massive.
Like winning the lottery or something. Right?
Yeah, like, you just bought me a car?
Yeah.
You just gave me a comic book? And that, it was that, those moments are the things that bring just joy to my life, just genuinely.
And that sounds like it answers my next question, which was a legacy that you want to leave. It sounds like you just described the legacy that you want to leave on this earth.
That's part of it. I would say that I want to have put everything and left everything on the field. To say I've done everything I could and allowed as many people to realize their full potential as possible. Because we all have a full potential, which we're operating nowhere near our full potential ever. Humans are the only creatures in the world that will not operate at their full potential just because.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And to say that I allowed someone to get closer to their full potential. I don't say that I've allowed X amount of people. And it's not about, like, it's not a numbers game as much as it is saying that this one person was closer to their full potential and was able to execute. And if we started off on that younger age, if you're watching it, then it can continue to grow. And instead of waiting until, like, oh, they're 20 now, we should probably deal with their issues around right now. It's like, you just waited 20 years for them to settle into who they are, which is, partly why I'm what I went through in my life was to teach me that lesson and to make sure that I don't want other people to be, 30 years, 40 years down the road and be saying, well, I don't think this is me. I've been doing this wrong this entire time. And I want people to be closer to them as possible.
Yeah.
That's like a legacy for me.
Totally.
That means the world. And I apologize if smoke keeps coming out. I had a fog machine set up for that.
Oh, I saw that. I was thinking of asking, but I didn't want to distract from the important thing.
No,
so.
it's okay. I have a fog machine.
It's awesome. I love it. That's great. That's perfect. You got it right there for your Skype thing. You got your little mini stage replete with fog coming up. It's pretty dang cool.
Fog and stickers.
Nicholas, if someone wanted to be involved, if they wanted to help your organization or they wanted to carry on, help you make this happen, or just learn more about it, how might someone get in touch? Where might they go as a reference?
Okay. So we have, our website, www.calltoinspire, CALLTOINSPIRE.com. And then everything, our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all Facebook, or all /call to inspire. Everything is called to inspire because that's what, it's a call to inspire. And if they want to get involved, they can get a hold of me. There's on all of those pages are ways to contact and to get a hold. And if people are interested, then give me a shout and we'll see. If it's in your area and you're like, well, we have serious amounts of bullying, which I've gotten so many calls and things like, bullying is insane here. What do we do? And every area looks different. So it's working together, finding a solution. That's literally what it's about. So anything called to inspire, our Facebook, our Instagram, Twitter, and the website. Yeah.
Nicholas, thank you, and please pass along to Captain Encouragement our heartfelt gratitude for this appearance today on Improvisationally Speaking.
I will. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And again, and I know Captain told you, but thank you for what you do. You're doing the same thing.